friends. Hope you're doing well. Bear's sitting on he hopped up on the couch right as I started shooting. And he was like looking at me like, Dad, are we making a video? He's a cute guy. So, yes. I never know where I should put my hat. This looks like I have a comb over. Is my hair pretty? So today, if you watched yesterday's video, you know the stock market is going bonkers right now. Today, it went extra bonkers, so it's kind of reeling from it, but less anxious, so that's good. But what I did spend a lot of time on today is I'm working on decluttering, both digitally. I have a lot of stuff on this laptop that's my TV basically, from 2012, 2013, 2014, and I think even a little bit from 2015 that I'm probably never going to use again, but I'm kind of a data hoarder in that I don't delete a lot of stuff. I delete the raw files of this because there's really no benefit to keeping it. I usually delete the processed version because YouTube saves it. You can download a slightly lower quality file, which is good enough for me for any of this. I don't know why I'd ever need to reference it again. Or I have the high quality version. But so I'm doing that. I'm going through. I have a bunch of notes. I've gotten rid of a lot of them. If you watched a week ago, they were sprawled out. It's half as much. And I'm digitizing them into Notion, which I like Notion a lot. What I wanted to do was read you some of the ideas I have for I don't even know what to call them. They're kind of sketch comedy, kind of short films, I guess. I don't know. But so there's a couple that I really liked that I got. So this one is just called Bomb Squad. Right, this working. These are all working titles. But it opens on a guy. He's looking at a bomb, and he's like, "Okay, remember your training. You can do this." And then it's a flashback, and it's two guys walking out of a classroom. The guy's like, "So how'd you think you did on the big bomb final?" And the guy's like, "Who cares? We're never gonna need that." And then it cuts back to the present time, and he's like, "Fuck." And so he panics, and he's like, "I know, I'll just YouTube it. You can YouTube anything these days." And so an ad plays, and the ad is gonna be one of the ads that I used to make these fake ads as a pitch man. And it's gonna play that, and then it's gonna be like, "Oh, I hate this guy." This little in joke, which no one will laugh at but me. And then the ad ends, and he's like, "Okay, finally, here we go." And then it's the guy who comes on is super douchey, and he's like, "Hey guys, you know who it be, Bomb Guy 23. And the guy's like, "I'd rather die," and just starts pulling up wires, and that's the end of it. So a lot of these are really just short, dumb ideas like that. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, here's a horror movie. Okay, scary. Tell me if this is scary enough. So it's a guy wakes up in the morning. It's all nice and peaceful, and his lady friend is snuggled into him. It's all cute, and they're kind of just talking about their day. And he's just like, "Hey, when was that thing?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And he's like, "Well, it's on you saved it on your phone, right? Look for it." And then she's like, "Oh, I can't find it." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's look around. It's gotta be here, right? Let's look around for it." So they look around. He's like, "Oh, I know. I'll just call it." So he calls it, and then he's like, "Oh, it's ringing." And he's doing his stretches and stuff. And then it's on the other end of the phone, if someone picks up, and it's like, "Babe, babe," and he's like, "Hello." And she's like, "Oh, you must be awake. Good morning. I thought you'd never wake up. I went to brunch with my mom. I'll be back in a little bit, though. Our ex just got here. Love ya." And he is like, "What?" And the phone goes silent. And then he, in the back, of the shot, just the girlfriend or whatever pops up, but it's demon faced now, and it has a knife. And the guy whips around, and then it cuts, and the phone just drops, and he just goes, "No," and it cuts, and that's it. Spooky. Is that good? Is that spooky? I don't know. a living is a lot of what I do is kind of talking head B-roll is what we call it. A talking head is just like this, is someone either talking to the camera or just talking just off to the side to an interviewer, and they're talking about their day, or not their day, I'm talking about my day. They're talking about, whatever, the organization, the business, it's like bub, and then we put B-roll over it. So it's talking head B-roll. It's very easy to do. It's very common. That's probably the most common form of video production happening. So because that's what I do so much of, and I have so much skill, also I realize I shouldn't have looked. Yeah, you look. Well, I would probably look, actually. This would be where you want to look. Fun fact, when you're setting up an interview, you want to put the interviewer between the key light, which is this, and the camera. Because if we look this way, then I'm short side lighting. But if I look this way, then it's broadside lighting. But with this giant microphone in my face, you can't tell anyway. So it's like this, we're talking about stuff. Versus like this, and you're like, you're talking about stuff. Because this is like more in shadow. Anyway, this is a bad example. Because of how this is everything's lit pretty well. Because I had the lamp on today. Anyway, just because I do so much of that, it really lends itself to documentary films, and because I like comedy, and because it's also hard when you're doing a short film to get a lot of people. One thing you can do is you can shoot documentaries, and one thing you can do is you can shoot fake documentaries, which are actually becoming more and more popular, but there's still not a lot of them out there. So think of The Office is a good example of a mockumentary. So I want to make films like that. Films like The Office, films like This Is Spinal Tap, A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman. There's a recent one called Chalk. Well, that's not really recent. It's 10 years ago. Chalk. Parks and Rec was kind of like that a little bit because they would have interview segments. But The Office was a better example because they were camera aware. They were aware the cameras were there. So think The Office, but taking random, more like those 60-second docs, if you've seen that. So The Office meets 60-second docs. That's where I want to be, making short little funny things with my documentary skill set that I've honed from hours and years of making corporate videos. Anyway, so with that all said, this idea is called The Unboxer. It's a mockumentary about a guy who just loves to unbox random shit. So he's when I was a kid, I just loved Christmas, and it wasn't so much getting presents, because as soon as I unwrapped it, that was it for me. It's like when you buy a car, the whole buy a car, it's a lot thing. So it's just him, unboxing things, and he has a YouTube or an Instagram or something. I haven't figured it, I haven't got that far yet, but I think it's a pretty clever idea. Let's see, what else? I also have thought about series. So I have a couple series. One idea is I just call it open auditions, and I think I'm gonna work. There's a local improv theater, and I think I want to work with them and maybe just have open times once a week, and people can just come and apply to be a wrestler, or be on the Home Shopping Network. So we'll give them a prompt, and they'll come with characters prepared, and then I'll just film whoever shows up, and then we'll just take the best of it and be and we'll try to make it look appropriate. We found this audition tape, and I think it could be fun. I don't know, and that could be a fun way that I can work with this improv theater that my friend runs, and we can make some cool stuff, and it could just have a good time, And it would also be pretty COVID safe because you could just bring it in one or two people at a time, So I think it'd be okay. And that's the other good thing I like about documentaries is it's me plus the person I'm interviewing, and maybe when you're shooting the B-roll, it could be 2 or 3 people, but it could be people in their sphere, because the B-roll, there's not any dialogue, although we could probably include some scenes. I have one idea that's my favorite idea, so I'm not gonna share it because I don't want to steal it because it's so good, with my friend, and he's perfect for the role. like he's got a girlfriend that he lives with, and she's pretty chill. Like I think she would like be able to like come in and like say I could talk her into saying a couple words, you know, here and there. So I think that would be fun. So there's another one. I call it "Don't Be That Guy." And so a guy walks into a room and he's like, "Look what I found," and he's holding up an acoustic guitar, and he's like, "Say, do you like Oasis? You strike me as someone that liked early 90s British rock." And he's like tuning up the guitar, and he's like, "Anyway, here's Wonderwall," and he starts playing it, and then the camera pans around, and I don't know the ending. The camera pans around, and if you have an idea, drop it in the comments. I'll give you writing credit. But here's the three I have: is a person tied to a chair, and they just look scared, and they have like a bandana or like a ball gag on or something, or it could be like a happy dog, and it's like adopt a pet, which I think is kind of clever, or maybe it's just like a corpse, like a skeleton. I don't know. So those are just that's one I thought of. Let's see. Here's one that I don't know how I would ever make it, but it just says the Kool-Aid Man has diabetes. And because his blood is just sugar, basically. So it's like the doctor has to call the Kool-Aid Man and tell him he has diabetes. I can make that joke because I have diabetes. So that's one. Yeah, I have a lot of them. This one I call the Boogeyman. It's like an over-the-top horror comedy about a Night Stalker type character who like stalks people, and then he like corners them and he holds them down and like ties them up, and they like come to, and he just like slowly picks their nose and eats their boogers, and that's it. That's the film. And maybe like you could have like a Silence of the Lambs like character, like a Seven character, you know, and it's just like the victims are like in the blanket, and like the detectives are like, so he just picked your nose. It was awful. He stuck his finger in my nose, and then he ate it. And like the fellow detective's like, but did he like molest you? Did he like put his penis in your mouth? And they're like, oh god no, he just picked my nose and then left. And so like the one detective is like, this is a waste of time, and the other detective is like taking it very seriously because it's like maybe it's like their first case, and it's like kidnapping is kidnapping. Like we have to put a stop to it. And you know, like this guy's picking noses now. What's next? How would you like your wife's nose to get picked, or something? Or maybe like his wife doesn't have a nose. I don't know. You know, this you can play. These are just scribblings I found in my notebooks that I wrote like 6+ years ago that made me laugh again now that I'm a little older, and I'm like, I'm so funny. I amuse myself. I also found a lot of video on this hard drive. There's like a backup of my old phone, and it like I have like all these like drunk videos. Like there's one video, it's just like me like at my old apartment, and I'm just hammered, and my hair is just like all fucked up, and I'm like, you know, it's kind of sad. And I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend who's like just out of camera shot. I was like, it's kind of sad. You can't eat nachos sexy like. And then I just eat this big like nacho. And that's the video. So I just have a lot of just dumb. I'm like, yeah. I don't know why I recorded that, but it's true. You can't eat nachos sexy. Try it. You won't be able to. Oh man, I want nachos now. See what I did? I also want mac and cheese, because I had chicken nuggets for dinner. Love me some chicken nugs. Because I'm an adult. But I don't have any mac and cheese. I have ramen. I might make ramen and just add cheese to it. It's basically the same thing. Right? I don't know. So that's those ideas. I also had like a lot of ideas for like my more professional YouTube where like explain stuff. Some series ideas. Like recipes, like camera recipes, for like good lighting setups, or like this, I call them grip recipes. Like I built this Let's take it apart real quick. So like, my microphone is like, instead of having like a boom arm or something, like I had a boom arm and it like just did not work very well. So I built this thing. And this part right here, this just clamps to the table. And then this up here is a grip head, and then this is a grip arm. And so like a good mic arm costs like $100 plus, something like that. I don't, like a really good one costs like $300. This is just stuff I had lying around in my grip kit, and I think brand new the cost would be like $80. But because it's not spring loaded, it's all friction based. It's all solid machine metal. Like, I don't think the only part of this that's plastic is the part that came with the microphone. So like, this is, I mean, I'm not gonna say indestructible, but you'd have to really want to break this. So like, eventually springs will get bad and they'll fail. But this will not, because it's all friction. You just crank on it and it's tight. So I can, I've done some things like that. I think this could be very helpful to a lot of people, especially podcasters, because I feel like this is a lot. It's very easy to travel with. It's not gonna break. I can take it apart in like 2 minutes, because all you have to do is pull this knob here, and then this slides out, and then boom, it packs. You pack it in a suitcase, you're good to go. I could fit 5 of these in a suitcase, no problem. So like, if I was doing a traveling podcast show or something, it just really wouldn't be that hard to be able to rig up some nice microphone holders. And then, they assemble in seconds if you know what you're doing. So I thought that would be kind of neat. Yeah. What else? What else did I find in those notes? Just ideas for how to write for a single actor. Like a radio DJ is taking a call. So this is something you could do on the cheap. Like a radio DJ, or maybe it's like a secret agent who's like following commands, something like that. You could still kind of do it with just one or maybe 2 characters, which I think is the hardest thing. If you want to be a filmmaker, and you want to make stuff, finding actors is like so hard, because like most of the local actors probably are pretty inexperienced, and they're not very good, because they don't get a lot of chances to practice, and they don't get a lot of good feedback, because there's not a lot of good directors. So it's like, okay, you have this two-way problem of if there's not enough work, there's not enough people that do the work, then the work can't. You need that self-supporting scene with people just making stuff and willing to come in and work for no money, and even as the filmmaker, you feel obligated to at least feed these people. And so I think the problem that happens, especially in Nebraska, is people make these big grandiose things where they're trying to, and they're going out and they're I'm making a 40-minute short, and you're why would you do that? Or I'm making a feature film, and you're that's awesome, I'm really proud of you, but why don't you put that in your back pocket and you make 10 things that you can shoot in an afternoon with locations you have and people and props you have, where you spend $0. You can even just shoot on your iPhone. Don't have to get all fancy. And so I think more people need to do, if more people were making kind of a lot of these short ideas I have, you could be getting experience to the actors, you could be getting experience to the crew. People they learn what not to do, they learn what to do, what they like, what they don't like, etc. That's how you get good at stuff. That's how you build a scene. And I think it's just so many people go big, and they're no, I'm going big, I'm going to make a film, and you're cool, but the odds you fail every minute of screen time, the percentage of the failure rate goes up, that you're gonna either make something that sucks or you're just not gonna finish, Especially when you think if you're making a mobster movie, and you're like, cool, I love Scorsese too, but like, you don't know anybody that looks like a mobster, and there's no locations that look like a mobster hangout or a mobster house. So if you're trying to like rent these locations, like these places are like, this thing doesn't have insurance, and they're real skeptical, they might not let you do it, they might charge you, money that you don't have. So it's just like, what can you do with what you have, where you are, with who you know? That would definitely say yes. And then you expand your network, and then once you've made things, people take you more seriously. If you could point to a YouTube channel that has 10, 15, 20 little short things, and they look quality, they look good, they actually are, like, it's okay, it's watchable, then like the buy-in just goes up. Every extra thing you've made, the buy-in goes up, and people get on your team, and before you know it, people are going to give you a little bit of money to make the next thing, the thing that's just a little bit better. So that's my advice. Start, and you could apply that to anything, really. Anything you want to do. It's like, if you want to learn to cook, like, you got a crock pot, boom. You know how many crock pot recipes there are on the internet? You could go your whole life not ever eat the same thing twice with just crock pot recipes. So like, start small. Just get started. You can correct course very easily, but you can't. It's much harder to push the boat off the dock than it is to just change the steering 1 degree left, 1 degree starboard, because that's what you're doing. Getting the boat out to sea, that's the hard part. After that, you're looking long term, and you just gotta go. It's the small fixes. Sometimes you gotta dodge that iceberg, which that happens, but so it goes, right? So anyway, that's all I got today. I have a lot more ideas, but I don't want to share them because I want to make them, and I don't want anyone to steal them, even though not probably any of you that watches this make films. But I'm convinced you're gonna steal my ideas, even though they're not that good. And if you did, I'd probably just be like, oh, someone made that, awesome, now you're watching, I don't have to make that. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope this video finds you well. And if not, well, I hope that turns around for you, and I hope you figure out what you need to do to get your boat out to sea, get in the game. Other platitudes, And if you want to help me out, hit the like button, leave comments, all that stuff, It all helps me. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.